We got Jamie Mullarkey, Mullarkey facing off against Khama Worthy, the Death Star, man. And this is a really interesting matchup to me because I think Jamie Mullarkey doesn't nearly get the credit that he deserves being such a high-level fighter, man. He's 0-2 in the UFC. Yes, we understand that, right? But look at the dudes he's fought, man. Most notably Brad Riddell, right? Brad Riddell's supposed to fight Gregor Gillespie, and look at what happens, you know what I'm saying? That just means that that's how high-level this dude Mullarkey is, and to go 3 rounds with Riddell and not get finished by an incredible kickboxer like that tells me a lot. Now, let me ask you, AJ, Khama Worthy, he's got the death touch, man. He's called the Death Star for a reason. He just recently said if he fought Michael Chandler, he'll knock Michael Chandler's head off of his fucking shoulders. I want you to give me a little bit of analysis here. In terms of a high-level striker, how high-level is Khama Worthy to you from your film study?
That's a pretty high stretch going right for Michael Chandler, my man. I didn't even hear that quote, but that's impressive. You gotta give it to Khama for being confident, to say the least. But as far as striking, I don't know if I would put him that high level. I mean, he does keep a nice tight high guard, very clean, very smooth. And what I like about him is he's calm. He can get lost a little in the chaos like he did with his last fight. But I don't really, credit that against him. It can happen to anybody. Azatar came in hot and heavy and he got caught. He looked really good against the Luis Pena fight. But as far as like level of striker, man, I'd put him, I'm trying to think of like exactly where. I would almost say below like a Stephen Thompson, but not that far behind. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he's got the base level striking of like a Chase Hooper or anything, like that. But he can stand up, he can hold his own. And what I like most about him is he stays calm, but he stays tight and he keeps that high guard. So he can both protect the low kicks and the ones coming up high. And I'd put him, out of a scale 1 to 10, I'd say a nice 7.5 maybe. What about you, Derek? What do you say?
Well, my thing about Khama Worthy is that I think his striking is very similar to Tyron Woodley's, where it's based off of explosion, right? It's based off of being flat-footed and trying to knock your opponent's head off. Now, in terms of the contest between Jamie Mullarkey and Khama Worthy, Worthy clearly has the stand-up advantage, like clear by large and by far. Jamie Mullarkey, he said it, he's proud of it. He's a grappler, man. That's what he does. He's a wrestler, do a little bit of stand-up. But Khama Worthy, man, his style has been noted before as herky-jerky, right? And what it is to me is he is the definition, in all honesty, of fast twitch movement, man. This dude is, and for folks, if you're not watching, if you're just listening, man, I talked about it on the betting show. I'm trying to reenact the feints and the head movement of Khama Worthy, because this dude, all it takes is one. Literally, you saw it versus Devontae Smith, and we're talking about Devontae Smith, who has knocked out, 3 of his 4 opponents, or maybe all of his opponents, dude. Every single win he has in the UFC has come by finish, I believe, and he put him out with 1 left hook. All it took was 1 left hook, right? So that's super impressive to me. When he fought Luis Pena, he showed that he can grapple a little bit, right? And he really wants to keep the fight on the feet, but ultimately when he gets into a bad situation, he can catch his opponents too. That's how he submitted Luis Pena. It wasn't real deal grappling what he was doing, right? But he just kind of caught Pena. Now when it comes down to Azatar, like you mentioned, right? We just got to give a little bit of a mention here. This is Atman Azatar, not Abu, right? So this is Big Brother over here, you know what I'm saying? And all it took was 1 from that dude. So it's like, it goes to show that this dude lives and dies by the knockout. How do I know that? Well, he has 7 losses and 6 of them were by knockout. So I don't think that's going to happen against Mullarkey, but it is high-level striking. It is high-level striking. So to get that part out the way, my question is, Jamie Mullarkey is in one of those positions where he absolutely needs a win. There's no question about it. He even said it. He's like, I do not care how pretty it is. My sole focus is getting a win. How does he get it done, AJ? Is it all wrestling? Like, he has to stay off the feet if he wants to win, in my opinion, right?
He's got to stay off the feet. But one thing I like about Mullarkey is he's scrappy. You know what I'm saying? He's in it for the scrap. He's very skinny. So he's kind of like underestimated. Very well-rounded fighter on paper, but I do think he needs to keep this on the ground, attack the ground, put Khama Worthy in deep water, make him drag it out, because you get touched by Worthy, man, you're going to sleep. It's going to be a hard fight. And even in his last fight against Faraz, who's kind of had the reach advantage and definitely had the striking advantage on him as well, he won the second round. I mean, he didn't win the whole fight for sure. He definitely won the second round. He got pieced up in the first, and then the third was close, but he lost. But so he has the ability to survive on the feet, but he definitely wants to go to the deep water and drag it to the ground more so than stand up and take a chance against Khama Worthy. What do you think? Do you think he has any chance at all on the feet? Do you think he only needs to go to the ground, or can he somewhat do it?
I think that he can survive on the feet. I don't think he can win the fight on the feet. And the reason why I say that is because, in all honesty, I truly think that Brad Riddell, while he doesn't have as much power as Khama Worthy, in my opinion, like that one one touch death shot, right? He's by far and by large, man, a far superior kickboxer. You know what I mean? By far. Like, in terms of being able to hang with Brad Riddell, I was really impressed because I'm like, not a lot of dudes can do that with Brad Riddell. Before he came into the UFC, Riddell was knocking out everybody, you know, finishing, all that good stuff, right? So I think that what Jamie Mullarkey needs to do to implement his best path to victory is he needs to look to counter strike a little bit with Khama Worthy, and then once he can kind of slip in, not necessarily try to go for the counter, but go and get double underhooks, because that's his number one, that's his best move, basically best grappling move, is he gets you in the clinch against the cage, double underhook, look for a trip, look to take the back, or look for just, you know, top control. So it'll be interesting to see. I truly believe that this is going to be an interesting fight. I just think that, man, it's kind of like the Stipe Ngannou in a way, where it's like Khama Worthy only needs to get lucky once the entire fight. Mullarkey is going to need to be on his game the entire fight. But the thing to note is that Mullarkey averages 4 takedowns per fight. But here's the tough part. It's at a 30% clip. And Khama Worthy's got a 57% takedown defense. So he stuffs over half of the takedowns that come his way. Oh, I switched this up. You on the right, I'm on the left. Let's change that. There we go. Right. Folks listening, apologies. But ultimately, man, last thing I want to point out before we get into our pick, Khama Worthy is he's like 8 years the elder of Jamie Mullarkey. Mullarkey's a very young gun in the game, and Khama Worthy at 16-7, 2-1 in the UFC, needs to make every single win count. So who wins this and why and how?
This one's actually a hard one for me, Derek. Personally, when I was first, writing this up, doing all my research, I actually had Khama Worthy winning, and I still think he can. I still definitely think he can, and I'm going a little against the grain, and I'm going Mullarkey by decision just because I think he's going to grind it out, man. I don't think Khama's going to get lucky. I don't think he's going to touch him up. I think it's going to be a hell of a grind out fest in deep waters. It's going to be Mullarkey pulling it through in decision, but this one's a coin toss for me. Who you got?
Well, you know what, man? I'm going to have a very long, drawn-out, complex, and specific answer. And the reason why is because this is what I think is going to happen. I think that Khama Worthy wins by decision. And what happens is this. Mullarkey is shooting takedowns, trying to get the fight onto the feet, do all of that good stuff. And what I anticipate is Khama Worthy maybe dropping Mullarkey a couple times during the fight, actually inflicting real-deal damage, but Mullarkey is still able to sit there, get the top control, do the wrestling thing. It's going to make for an interesting decision in my mind, the way that I've conjured this up, this fantasy in my mind, right? And ultimately, Khama Worthy gets the nod because of the decision, or because of the damage he's inflicted, maybe bloodied up Mullarkey's face, did some stuff like that. And it's gonna be a very conflicted decision in my opinion. And hopefully it doesn't end up that way, because we don't like to have controversy with the judges. But like I said, that's how I see it playing out, man. And I am entitled to my opinion. So there is that.